Mahabharata, when Lord Krishna takes the Pandavas to respected Bhishma and tells him, please advise the Pandavas, he says, you are Narayana himself, who am I to advise? He says in Hindi, because I saw that serial, मेरे पास ज्ञान है पर आपके पास अनुभव है. So even God himself feels the rich store of experience is important, and others and youngsters especially should really listen to that experience, words of experience. So taking excuse from that sort of standpoint, I would share, as I said, Swami has always told us that your lives should become my message. And in that specific context, we, wherever we are placed, especially youngsters who go to software offices, important positions in government. Swami once said, Na namam kadra, na tattvam pracharam cheyandi. Don't spread my name, my ideals you spread. My coming to know Swami took place in a rather unusual way, as we say, vichitra roop in Hindi. I was a college student, maybe early college. I think I must be around 16 or 17 years. One day, I happened to see a photograph of Bhagwan Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, in which it was written, if you look at me, I will look at you. This sounded a little strange for me, and more out of curiosity rather than any sort of devotion or anything. I took the photograph and went to the open terrace of my house and sat in a corner and gazed at his photograph very intently. For maybe even an hour, I think. I thought something dramatic would take place. Bhagwan Shirdi Baba will come out of the photograph, talk to me, but nothing of that sort happened. One day, in a dream, Bhagwan Satya Sai Baba appeared. I didn't know much about him, but I could identify him because we see in newspapers or photographs and all. And I was in what we call in medical parlance a half-inclined position, like this I was. And he was right above me, and he used his thumb of the right hand and pressed the place in between the two eyebrows fairly hardly. I think it must have lasted a few seconds. Then the dream ended. I got up in the morning and I could recollect the dream very vividly. But again, I didn't attach any significance or importance to it. The first darshan, seeing Swami physically, again took place in a rather unusual way or unexpected way, you can say. Like I had gone with two of my friends to Tirupati to have a darshan of Lord Balaji. We stayed uphill for 3 days. And fourth day we came down and we were told there are a few temples there which we should also see. So when I got up in the morning, suddenly there was a very strong thought in me that I should go to Puttaparthi. Puttaparthi I've heard, but again I really didn't know anything about it. And I don't know, but the thought was very strong to the extent that I went to the hotel manager and asked him how I can reach Puttaparthi. And fortunately, he said it's not very far, and he guided us. So we took a bus, reached a place called Mudigubba. From there, another bus to Puttaparthi. We reached around, say, 3 p.m. It was way back in, I think, 1988 or 89, very long back. And those days, as you know, the Sai Kulwant hall was not there. It was all sandy. And as we were walking inside, Swami came from the opposite side, and suddenly, from afar, you only imagine, but it looked as though he was looking at us, and he lifted his hand like this. So I told my friend Ashok, is it that Swami has identified us, and is he welcoming or, I don't know, blessing us? I don't know anything. See, our experiences with anybody or for anything in this world, and even God himself, it depends upon our attitude. The attitude dictates the experiences. And once having come to Swami, my attitude was a twofold one. Firstly, I used to feel as a servant of the Lord, what we call the dasoham bhavam. And secondly, it was always a prayerful attitude. Always keep praying to Swami. And again in this prayer, I realized very early that we have to be very careful what we ask God himself. because Swami had once told, it seems, Kalpavraksham kinda vachi coffee powder adigadanta. Like having come to the wish-fulfilling tree Kalpavraksha, you are asking for coffee powder. So, but there were times when I had prayed for something personal, especially, when you have a family, children and all. But most of the time it was something I thought which really we should ask from God Himself. And I read in our scriptures that when an avatar comes down, he is very compassionate and kind, but he is very choosy when he selects people for his own work, for his own what we can call the avataric mission. Because once Swami, a senior trustee, told me in Bangalore when they were alone in the room, he asked, Swami, we all feel we are close to you, but you tell us to whom you are close. And then Swami paused for a while and then he told half in English and half in Telugu, it seems. And his reply was, to whom I have given my work or through whom I am getting my work done. This was in English till here. I so vividly remember, and it really had a deep impression. Then Swami continued and said, Veela tappa nakevaru close kaadu. 2 times I had the opportunity to ask Swami something. And the first was very early after Swami's darshan and all, on the persistence of my very, very noble soul, my dearest friend, Mr. Romel. He somehow persuaded me to go to Puttaparthi because for 2-3 years I was doing seva there in Hyderabad, but I used to feel I am not that pure to go to Swami. He used to say only patients will go to a doctor. Even if you think you are not pure, please go. Somehow I made it, and at that time an international cardiology conference was going on. I thought I'll go. So it was in the university auditorium. I entered through the rear. There's one entrance at the rear end also. I thought I'll sit at the last row. And surprisingly, that day Swami came from that entrance. And I was the first person whom he accosted. And when I saw Bhagwan, I started to tremble a bit and then said, Bhagwan. And then Swami moved his head a little and came near me and looked at me piercingly, both my eyes. Then I said, Swami, seva chesedaniki avakasham ivandi. Please give me opportunity to do seva. Swami lifted his abhayhastam and then he went down these stairs. So the first prayer which I made, as I said, as a devotee, as a spiritual sadhana, was for seva. And after many years, and as you know, Swami's reaction, the way he reacts, in fact, I read once in a place where Swami says, when a devotee comes and asks me for seva, I, in discharge of my duty in this avatar, grant seva to that yogi. Swami calls him yogi even before he has done seva. And when I went back to Hyderabad, there was seva galore. Like I started joining for routine bhajans, Nagar Kirtan, but also Narayan Seva, drinking water camp, a very noble service for in summer, and then medical seva, and finally Gram Seva, which I heard is Swami's favorite seva. So the blessing came in the form of that seva which Swami gave. And then after many years, when I was doing so in 2004, when Swami in one interview I said, Swami, the joy which I get in Grama Seva, the joy is same, Swami. Now I am sitting in front of you. Now I would like to leave my job and immerse myself in Grama Seva. Swami first asked, why can't you continue to work and do seva? I said, Swami, my health is getting upset because family one side, job one side, seva. I can't give up seva and family, job I can. Then Swami said, నువ్వు ఇక్కడ సూపర్ స్పెషాలిటీ హాస్పిటల్లో వచ్చి చేరిపో. He said, you come and join the super specialty hospital. Then, of course, a series of turns and twists took place. As you know, Swami's Leelas we don't understand, and I found myself in my favorite service of the mobile hospital. So here what I realized was Swami saying that if you do good seva, my reward, the highest reward would be, I'll give you more seva. And if you do more seva, my reward again will be more and more seva. So my spiritual experience as a sadhak, as a devotee, is, I think, the best thing which I feel personally we can ask Swami is for seva, because he said, I have myself come down to do seva with a particular mission, and if you join me in that, how happy I'll feel. That means to whom I have given my work, I have chosen to give my work, because God, as I said, becomes very choosy when He comes in avatar, or through whom I'm getting my different services done. Let it be the Satya Sai organization or the Central Trust or so many other where Swami himself had personal. Apart from these people, I am not close to anybody, he said. That was a very, very significant, supreme declaration of Bhagwan. The bond which I and my family shared with Bhagwan on the physical plane was indeed very special. And if Swami accepts you, or if he calls you, which I was fortunate he did, because he said, leave your job and come, then really I feel Swami takes over your everything connected with you, both your own material and spiritual life and your family members. He takes ownership of it. And that translates into, firstly, a sort of a protection which Swami gives, because, in a world we are exposed to so many things. And as you know, the highest requirement for any individual, both in material and spiritual life, is health. As a doctor, I am acutely aware of it. And my health right from the beginning was never up to the mark. When my friend in one darshan in Sai Kulwant Hall, in darshan, he asked Swami, Devda ayana arogyam. He is very close friend. Swami, his health. Then Swami looked at him a little sternly, because he doesn't like others talking on behalf of somebody. But he said, ayana arogyam. He thumped his hand on his chest. Nen chuskuntanu, he said. So that is the degree of protection. And secondly, in 1996, when I had a major ailment, for 6 months I was laid up with a back problem. And Swami, when it was informed to Bhagwan by my friend Mr. Romil through Mr. C. Srinivas, he sent special vibhuti. But then I asked, did not Swami talk anything? Then I was told that if Swami just gives vibhuti, it means whatever treatment is going on is perfect. But at the end of 6 months, and Swami appeared in a dream where he was in an opposite balcony, and he expanded his body and again put the vibhuti between two eyebrows. At the same time, I opened my eyes because my mother also put vibhuti, saying, today is your birthday. So then I understood it is really my second birth, because the ailment was so severe. At some point of time, doctors were still debating whether it's a malignancy called multiple myeloma. So the protection, as I said, which Swami gives, and I'm so glad to tell you, as you know, for any father, children, so both the children whom I named as Satya Sai and Prema Sai, the first child's future, Swami asked me, Entabandi pillalu neeku, how many children you have? I said, Swami, iddaru. He knows everything. Then he said, Pedda kuturni em cheyalanuntunnavu? What do you want your elder daughter? Then I said, Swami, me bhakturalga, you are devotee. That's a good way, I asked. So Adi Sere, which my friend Romel said, he granted already that. That's how Satya Sai has been. He said, Aim cheyalanuntunnavu, what do you want her to be? Then he said, Swami, meeremantaru, whatever you say. Then Swami said, I'll make her a doctor. And he said, Seva cheyalante doctor ku minchina profession ledu. If you want to do seva, there's no other profession superior to that of a doctor. So when she was 4 years, Swami told that, and indeed by Bhagwan's, as you know, will manifest, she has become a doctor and now she is in US. And when I talk about welfare also, because I would very humbly say it was His grace that I joined our Satya Sai mission, Swami's mission, purely on honorary basis. Like last 17 years, I have been purely on honorary. It is Swami's grace He has taken. So just before her marriage, a couple of months before, when I woke up from a mid-afternoon nap, I found in my mobile rupees 21 lakhs credited. I didn't understand. I thought it's a fake thing. But then came from Andhra Bank. Those days it was called Andhra. So I checked then. He said, your central office health services, they have credited it. When I called them up, they said, sir, you were due for one promotion which was not given, and Supreme Court, our doctors who were aggrieved, they went, but Supreme Court had rejected it. But after so many years, again the case was reopened on again somebody applying, and can you believe Supreme Court had reversed its decision? And this 21 lakhs incidentally was, Swami had given in an interview $21 to me. Of course, when I asked, Swami asked me, Yemidi, what is this? I said, Swami, dollars. Kadu, values, he said. Then I checked, it seems initial days Swami had talked of 21 human values. Second child also, Swami surprisingly told something reverse. He said, doctor oddu, engineer oddu, commerce chadpi. But she got a seat in economics. Lady Sriram College, Delhi. So I rang up our Professor Vishwanath Pandit. Swami had told commerce, sir, this economics. He said, no, don't worry, both are interrelated only. So what I mean to say, Swami's bond of love is something which, as you know, love is subtle. It has to be shown in action. And Swami shows that in action, the way he protected us. Life became, I always feel that, meaningful, firstly. Secondly, purposeful. Thirdly, useful. And fourth, of course, peaceful. And fifth, joyful. So it became a full, I always feel that way, because in our silent moments, we try to reflect what exactly I am. Meaningful, why I say, is because Swami very early once told in an interview that, which do you think is your greatest fortune? So when they all said, Swami, you and all, Swami said, to get human birth is your greatest fortune. So when I say meaningful, I realize that this human birth, human life should not be led in an unconscious way, but it has a very sublime and lofty purpose. You need to have a clear purpose in life. And so when I say purposeful, I realized also, because I was a conscious sadhak, and as you know, we doctors are more analytical and all. So I realized the bane of suffering is our individuality. And if you can expand your heart and try to, as they say, the journey from I to he, from the individual to the universal, then you'll be free from all sorrow, misery, and suffering. So third, I realized that when you are useful to you others, and that comes in the form of seva, I found that to be the one which really sort of helps me in this evolution. And I also realized that when you're doing seva, this all came from within the heart. You forget your individuality, you forget your family, you forget everything. That is, the self in you has become selfless. So that is why in seva you have selfless service. You don't have selfless meditation, selfless japa and all. So I quickly found that once you are useful to others, that perhaps is the best way of making life purposeful. And in a way, I also thought, see, in meditation, they say the previous step is dharana or concentration. In seva, when you're immersed in it, trying to relieve the suffering of somebody, your mind is fully concentrated. Otherwise, so you're practicing the highest dharana also. So in that way, useful it became. And once you are doing all this, mind obviously becomes peaceful. When I asked my dear friend Romel, sir, I'm doing so much seva and all, I don't know whether I am really on the right track. He said, where is the question of you not being peaceful? Because your mind is always busy in something good. There's no time for any agitation to happen. And obviously, we become joyful in the end.